Our next speaker and the co-chair of this event, Jennet Alterman, is the executive director of the Center for Women. She will also be the interactive leader of the session in case you have questions that you want to direct to members of the panel. She is the creator and implementer of the Entrepreneurial Woman Series and the Microloan Program for women. She has worked in television broadcasting, state and federal government, and the nonprofit sector, and served as a Peace Corps volunteer in Afghanistan, Peace Corps country director in Swaziland, and the interagency coordinator for the Peace Corps worldwide. The Entrepreneurial Woman Series, established in 2002, has provided technical assistance and support to more than 5,000 women in the Low Country and across the state of South Carolina. With pleasure, I introduce my dear friend, Jennet Robinson.
Good morning, and I have to tell you, I'm humbled. I'm humbled to be here with my associates from the Low Country. The Low Country of South Carolina being defined as literally the Low Country, the part which is primarily below sea level. And for those of you who won't have the benefit of visiting the beautiful city of Charleston, you can remember it this way. It's where the Ashley River and the Cooper River meet to form the Atlantic Ocean. So the next time you come south, you make sure to come to Charleston. I am delighted to be here. I am honored. I want to personally thank Dr. Dorothy Perrin-Moore. Serendipitously, I met her about 9 years ago, and when I sort of, naively said to her, well, I'm noticing that I'm hearing from a lot of women through the Center for Women, which is the only women's development center in the state of South Carolina. I'm hearing from women every day that they want to start their own businesses, but they don't know where to go to do it. And she said, well, do something. Fix it. Bring people together. So an Entrepreneurial Woman Series was born as a result of Dot prodding me and resulting in our creating a coalition between the nonprofit sector, the academic sector, and the private business sector to create a support and resource network for, in this case, women entrepreneurs in the Low Country. Dot at the time was affiliated with the Citadel School of Business. I, knowing no better, went to the Dean of the College of Charleston School of Business and said, hey, can we have a space to have our programs, and in exchange we'll give you a credit on the programs? He said yes. We went to the local regional business journal. They said they'd give us a free ad every month. And so with virtually no money, we created an entrepreneur support system and resource network. Judith has very much been a part of that. I remember when Judith started her cookie company, and literally in her dining room. And I know you came to a lot of our networking events, or I would call Judith and I would say, hey, how about bring cookies to something? And we would tell everybody about it. But what I want to say about the Low Country is it's got an enormous entrepreneurial spirit to it. And a lot of it is because of several whammos we've gotten from the economy. The first being Reconstruction after the Civil War. The second being the Depression, actually 4. The third being the closing of the Navy base, and now this most recent economic depression of 2008, where we're seeing more and more people in our area stepping forward. The Bills, the Judiths, the Elizabeths, the Adelines, the fact that probably your granddaughters and great-granddaughters are going to see the wisdom of going into the family business, but because there are now more resources available to help you with your entrepreneurial efforts, they'll be able to take it to the next step. And that's something I think is fabulous about the Charleston area. I do want to say a little bit more about what we've done at the Center for Women. I've been there for 10 years. The organization is 20 years old. And I will be absolutely honest with you. In the last 10 years, we have seen that the biggest need to move women forward is economic empowerment. Now, you probably think South Carolina is this beautiful, wonderful state, and everything's hunky-dory, and isn't it wonderful we have a woman governor, and isn't it wonderful that our woman governor was sworn in by the Chief Justice of the State Supreme Court, who is a woman, and that's great, and it stops there. South Carolina is 50th in the nation in terms of women elected to our state legislature. 50th. We have fewer elected women in our state than any other state in the country. Now, when you don't have a seat at the public policy table, that's going to have a huge impact on your quality of life and your family's quality of life. So from the viewpoint of my organization, whose mission is to help women succeed every day, personally and professionally, we have decided to focus our efforts on economic empowerment. So for the last 8 years, we have helped hundreds and hundreds of women start their own businesses, rethink their businesses, expand their businesses, create wonderful collaborations within the community. And for those of you who are professors of entrepreneurship, think about the nonprofit community as a way to enhance your students' learning of entrepreneurial techniques. Because not only have businesses had to rethink their model during this economic downturn, but nonprofits have. And I personally consider myself a social entrepreneur. The only difference between my organization and Judas is that at the end of the year, if, inshallah, there is money left in the bank account, it goes back in. And that's a model that most nonprofits are going to have to take up. So I throw that out to you as a challenge. So when you're teaching these students, don't just look to the business community for a model for how to be an entrepreneur, but also look to the nonprofit community. I want to mention one program that has culminated as a result of 8 years of supporting entrepreneurs in our Tri-County area. We piloted a microloan program last year, and from what Dot shared with you, I do have a rather extensive and intense background in international development. And when at the age of 25, I was sent to Afghanistan as a Peace Corps volunteer in the late 70s, even I had to look it up in the atlas to see where it was. Now, of course, everyone knows where Afghanistan is. But to go from Charleston, South Carolina, where I led a privileged life, to Afghanistan, where women live the worst possible quality of life of anywhere on the planet. And if you think about it, the head-to-toe veil, the chador, they call it a burqa, that's wrong, it's a chador, is the most repressive garment in the world for anyone. So I got slam dunked into what is really the worst culture for women. And I saw women who couldn't read, who couldn't write, who had no control over their reproductive health care, and they still somehow managed to make a life. And I saw that when they were given just a little bit, they took that little bit and they ran with it, and it had an impact on their children's education and their health care. So coming back to my hometown and seeing women that are still being held back in the South, it's not as overt as you think it is, but there's definitely a cultural bias. I thought, we're going to do economic empowerment right here in South Carolina. So last year, with the help of an entrepreneur by the name of Barbara Hurst, Barbara created a company called BeHurst.com, and her cards are up here. She designed a line of shirts, which she then built a company around. She then created a foundation called the Good for Women Foundation. And she's selling these shirts, and the profits from the shirts go into her foundation, and her foundation made its first grant to the Center for Women last February, a check for $5,000, which we have used to fund 4 microloans in the Charleston area. And when you have time, go to the Center for Women website, cforwomen.org, and you'll find identified the 4 women who, with $1,000 each of them with $1,000, managed to create in total 5 jobs and are adding to the tax revenue of South Carolina. And when you talk economic development, it's about job creation and about raising tax revenues. We're doing it at the micro level, and we are just going to keep expanding it and keep expanding it. So that's my 2 cents. I'll say 3 times. We help women succeed every day. We help women succeed every day, and we will continue to help women succeed every day.